Now we will have Dr. Marcos López Casillas, who is the director of the Research Institute of the Puerto Rico Science and Technology Trust. He will talk about SBIR, but for the NIH agency. Please welcome, Dr. Casillas.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to be talking in Spanglish because that's what we speaking here in Puerto Rico. Okay. I'm just waiting for my presentation to pop in and we can start. But I'm really glad to be here this morning and see a lot of faces that I know, especially my colleague Ileana. She's the next door in my next door office at the University of Puerto Rico, Humacao. So welcome, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking briefly because I'm the presentation before the lunch. Okay, so that brings us a big challenge in here. About my process at NIH, I'm going to be talking briefly. My purpose is that if you have questions, if you think that you have an opportunity, we can, sit down together and talk about it, okay, from the biomedical standpoint, because that's the standpoint that I'm going to be presenting. The reason I'm here, I'm the director of the Research Institute of the Puerto Rico Science, Technology, and Research Trust. I'm also a professor of chemistry at the University of Puerto Rico, Humacao. But for some reason, they put me in a study section for small business, SBIR grants, STTR, at NIH. So I'm part of, I don't remember the codes, but I'm going to present that. It's in the endocrine and metabolism small business grants, and I've been serving there for about 2 years already. Okay, very interesting. It's a different type of study section, very similar to the ones that, when you review R01s and R21s and all those sorts of grants. Because I'm part of another study section on R01s and R21s and things like that. But this one is kind of interesting because you see things from a different standpoint. Wow. So yeah, that's my profile. That's the study section that I'm part of. Okay, my research interests, I'm working on the role of early metabolic perturbations in biology and medicine. That's why I'm part of the endocrine and metabolic system small business study section. Actually, that's one of the many study sections in that area. Okay, that's why the code is important. So that number 10 probably is one of the 10 or 20 that we have. Okay. So I don't know, who are these people? You know them? Okay, very popular lately. Okay. Well, they have a story. They saved your life, actually, both of them. Okay. That's Dr. Carico. She was the one that actually developed the COVID-19 vaccine. And that's her colleague, okay, from UPenn. Okay, very important. They won the Nobel Prize together this year. Okay. Dr. Carico, she has a very interesting story. Okay, and from different standpoints, her story is very interesting. Actually, when she won the Nobel Prize, UPenn, they were all over her. But initially, they didn't give her a trainer at UPenn, and there was a story behind that. Fortunately, she was very perseverant, and she continued on, and she saved the lives of millions and millions of people around the world with her vaccine. Okay, regardless of what you think about vaccination, because we're not going to enter about that. I lost a couple of friends during the pandemic because of that. Okay, but those who got vaccinated know that this was very, very, very important. Okay, so yeah, they won the Nobel Prize this year in physiology for the mRNA COVID vaccine. Okay, Dr. Carico, she won the pricing when she was in BioNTech, okay, which is a company, small company, well, not small. Okay, now they have millions and millions and millions of dollars. Okay, but they partnered with Pfizer. Okay, and they did a very good job. But she's also in that university that I don't know how to pronounce, but I guess it's in Hungary or over there. Okay. And then Dr. Drew Weissman, they started working together. There's a story behind it and everything. And he got tenure, she did not. Okay, and they did about the same job and things like that. But both of them, they got the Nobel Prize for the discoveries concerning nucleoside-based modifications that enable the development of the COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, so actually the impact is global, 19.8 million lives saved in the first year. okay, reduction in global debt by almost 2/3. The numbers are great, okay? I got about 3 or 4 of them, okay? They're very good. They got me sleepy. The ones for Pfizer, I got the ones for Pfizer 4 times. I think I need to get another one because COVID-19 is still there. Okay, so very, very, very interesting story about Dr. Carico and Dr. Weisman. Okay, they were very perseverant because that project, it was not giving up a lot of great results initially. Okay, but then somehow they tweaked the whole thing and they continue on, and now they're saving lives and they're rolling out some different vaccines for different type of diseases, okay? This is what it's all about, okay? So the reality is, and why I'm in here, is that the reality, and this counts towards me as well, okay? When I tried to become a scientist, one of the main things that I wanted to do was I wanted to do something that could be useful, okay? And I know that, regardless of your background, okay, you want to do something that is going to be useful for somebody, okay? Probably it's going to save lives, okay? That's what we want. I know that my colleague Ileana, she wants to save lives in a very interesting way, and she's working on that, okay? I have a couple of projects in cancer, preeclampsia, rare diseases, okay, that are about to, to the point to get a patent, and probably, I should be actually writing SBIR grants as well, okay? But for some reason, most of those discoveries, they stay in the lab. I don't know why we're scared about moving forward, okay? Why we're scared about becoming entrepreneurs, okay? But I know that Dr. Carico, okay, she took that step, and now, she saved a whole bunch of lives, and now she's rich, and I guess that, that feels very well, isn't it? Yep. Okay? I think that was not her main purpose. Okay? I think that her main purpose initially was just to try to get tenure at UPenn. Okay? Actually, my main purpose about studying chemistry and doing a postdoc, okay, and boasting myself, writing grants and everything, it was just to get a position somewhere. Probably here in Puerto Rico. I was before at the University of Chicago. I spent 8 years of my life in Colombia as well. Okay? So my purpose, it was not probably, just to try to save lives, but it was just to try to support myself and my family initially, and to get a position so I can continue working on, okay? That's why, the most of the discoveries, scientific discoveries, they stay in the lab, okay? And actually there's a paper in Nature that is pointing out that the scientists, we should know a little bit more about entrepreneurship and about all these opportunities. The same thing as high schoolers, that they need to know about, budget and credit cards and stuff like that, because otherwise, they're gonna enter into debt when they are 20 years old, okay? So you see the patents per state, you see that in California is all over the place, and this is only in 2020. They issue about 50,000 patents. The ecosystem for entrepreneurship in California is awesome. The state is huge, it's big, okay? But you see Texas is really big, okay? And you see California has about 5 times more patents filed and issued on this. This is in 2020 in comparison with Texas, okay? So you go to Silicon Valley, everybody is like working in different things, okay? And you see the numbers for SBIR are very interesting. Since 1983, they have captured about $86 billion, just California. Okay, Puerto Rico has captured $50 million since 1983. 15. Okay? And you see, and you analyze the data, I was trying to relate, the fact that, in San Diego they have naval bases, so probably they were collaborating. And actually, there's a story behind that. California has a lot of grants, a lot of SBIR grants with the Department of Defense. So I thought, well, probably Puerto Rico is the same because we had Roosevelt roles for a long time. Well, we don't have any grants at all with the Department of Defense during that time in where Roosevelt was like here with the Blue Angels and all that kind of stuff. I'm from Ceiba, so I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, nothing. We need to change that, isn't it? Okay. So that means that we never took advantage of the fact that the naval base was here. Okay, we never did anything with them in terms of at least the university, nothing.
Yeah, this is a pitch for the trust. The numbers, as he mentioned, with respect to SBIR for Puerto Rico, has been low. But since the trust started doing the SBIR in 2015, I'm not on this century yet. So we have had over 150% in terms of revenues brought in, and we have about from 1983 to 2015, we have over 100% in terms of money and 125% in terms of proposals compared to the previous 30 years. So the point is, whatever we're doing works, and we're moving forward. And the total contribution to the economy, which really means the awards that we're bringing and the matching funds on those years, exceeds $15 million to the Puerto Rican economy. So it's working. That's one.
In terms of business, those payments translate into small business creation, or is it
Well, actually, they were issued in 2020. Okay, some of them, I think that I look at some of them, and some of them are actually through that route, but the other ones are just there. Okay, just a piece of paper. We need to, that's another story. Okay, Puerto Rico only issued 72. We're not the last, state in the list. Okay, Virgin Islands is only 5, and actually I was amazed that Alaska, okay, they had a little bit less patents issued. Okay, so we're not, the last in the list. Actually, if you take these numbers and you put them per capita, we go up a little bit. Okay. However, the problem is that if you see Connecticut, they have 3,740. They have about the same population as Puerto Rico. Oh my God! And then, if we get compared with, by population, that affects us. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And as Juan said, despite the fact that we only secured 50 million in SBIR grants. Okay, most of them, or that kind of money, has been because of the SBIR program and all the other programs that are around it since 2015, which is really good. Okay, so that means that people are, awakening and giving an opportunity to the SBIR route. Okay, so if you see the total, why we need to get into this? Okay, we need to boost our economy. You see the total expenditures from NIH in Puerto Rico, and you compare them to different other states. Okay, so you compare them to West Virginia, the poorest state in the nation. Hawaii, because it's an island. Alaska, because it's over there. And Delaware, because they don't have a tax. Okay, and Mississippi, because it's poor. Okay, as you will see, in millions in total funding, in active funding from NIH right now. You go to NIH Reporter, we have $78 million. The problem is that the ones that they usually get converted into patents, and they get converted into forming students, and they get converted, or they have an opportunity of becoming SBIR grants, okay, we only have 3 million. We only have 5 our ones. Our 21s, we only have about 10. We're getting there. People are starting writing. We're bringing people, okay? But you see West Virginia, they have $19 million. They have about 20-something grants, our ones. If you see Delaware, they have 29. Alaska, they had 2 million, okay? So most of the other states are doing better than Puerto Rico in terms of biomedical expenditures. So we need to twist that. We need to change that, okay? And there's numerous reasons why we had that situation, okay? And we're not going to enter into that, but here's some. This is the Innovation Highway in California, and this is the Innovation Highway in Puerto Rico, okay? Every time I want to do something at the university, there's always a roadblock, okay? There's always a roadblock, okay? And the problem is that, and let me tell you why we have a lot of roadblocks. Let me tell you why. Corruption is one of them, Okay, but as you see, as Tom pointed out, somebody was paying tuition from Harvard, using SBIR grants, it happens everywhere. But the reason why we have all these roadblocks is all the grants, all the federal money is managed through the same regulation, the 2 CFR Part 200, okay? However, in that regulation, that regulation never tells you that you need to get like 3 quotes and things like that. You remember? Who's from the university here? Okay, you remember the 3 quotes and for anything, you need to get 3 quotes and you need to do it yourself. Okay, usually procurement is the one that is supposed to be doing that. During negotiations, no, you need to do it yourself. Get me the 3 quotes and get me a justification why you want to buy from this place and not the other. Okay?
Now they changed that.
Mm-hmm.
They changed the law to that was the main goal.
Mm-hmm. But that's not written in 2 CFR Part 200. Okay? So when Lucy Crespo, she told me, hey, Marcos, go to the different institutes, okay, because we wanted to put together a research institute here in Puerto Rico that needs to be different from what we have. Okay, one of the things that I paid a lot of attention was to that. So I went to Yale University, I went to Harvard, to different institutes. Whitehead Institute, they have an institute with MIT and Harvard, and they work together, okay? You never see Ana Jiménez and the University of Puerto Rico, very rarely. You don't see Inter-American University and University of Puerto Rico, very rarely. And with community colleges, it's never gonna happen, okay? Up there, okay, they work differently, okay? So you see the Whitehead Institute is a venture between MIT and Harvard, okay? The Reagan Institute that we have a MOU with them is a venture between the Mass General, MIT, and Harvard, okay? And then on the side of those institutes, they're one on the side of the other, okay? You have the Broad Institute, which is a venture from MIT and Harvard, okay? So in here, we don't have those type of collaborations. It's really hard when you get trained, when you go and you spend 20 years of your life, okay? And you graduate with your bachelor's degree, then you go out. And then you spend 10 years, 20 years of your life out of Puerto Rico, and then you want to come back, okay? And you encounter things like this, okay? That's why a lot of people, they just go back to Orlando, or they just go back to the United States, because it's easier, because it doesn't have to be like this, okay? That's something that we need to change and we need to work out, okay? That's why here in Fideicomiso, one of the things that we're working on is that we don't want those roadblocks, okay? And if anything, at some point, becomes a roadblock, we try to take it out, okay? Because otherwise, we're not gonna be doing anything, okay? So that's one of the main reasons. And the other reason is this one. And probably Wendy is gonna relate with me on this, okay? The pre and post award process, there's some regulations that you need to follow, that's true. But in Yale University, it's like this, and in Puerto Rico, it's weird. And the problem is that, most of the people, when you go to Inter-American University, when you go to the Catholic University in Maya West, I have heard this, I have colleagues from there, usually they come from the same crop from the University of Puerto Rico, same regulations and things like that, so everybody knows about the 3 quotes. So the process is about the same everywhere, okay? So when you try to enter this, okay, and besides that, you need to teach, how many credits you're teaching this year? Like 15 credits or something, okay? And they don't give you any incentives or anything. And if you ask for something, when I have my students, they always fight with me because I'm not usually in my office during my office hours. And I tell them, I have a lot of things to do. Okay, that's what I tell them. But the main reason I'm not in my office is that it's full of fungi in there. Okay, the office is not, very good. Okay, so those are the main reasons why in here, okay, usually, we don't evolve, at least in terms of the university. And it happens everywhere, okay? But anyway, we need to engage and we need to do something about this, okay? So, so here, this drawing, I got it from somewhere, okay? I can give you the reference because I forgot to put it there. I drew it myself, but I got it from somewhere and I put some different things. But usually the public and private investment is really, really, really high, okay? In academic research, we get money. We have $78 million laying around in Puerto Rico, okay? So there's money for research, Okay, the problem is that when you want to go back and you know, try to get into the industrial application, okay, there's a dead valley in the middle. It's really hard to get from one point to the other, okay? And usually the roadblock is the same university, okay? For example, one SBIR, no, you have a conflict of interest. Oh, no, you have a problem. See? But if you go in the Western, you know, I talked to them the other day, you know, I told them, well, you know, I'm here working with my friend Juan, and I want to know about your SBIR program, how you deal with the conflict of interest. And they told me, you just fill out the form and that's it. We'll help you out with everything else. Okay? In here, what they do is that they impose a big labyrinth, okay? And we have people in here at Ciencias Médicas, for example. The other day, we have a colleague from Ciencias Médicas, and she told me, you know, I have this is very important, okay, but I don't know how to get out of the maze. And that's the main issue that we have in here, okay? So, but there are some success cases. For example, I don't know, you know Michelle Martinez Montemayor, she's a very good friend, and Fatima Rivas, okay? Actually, I like this case because usually when you work with natural products, you know, to translate natural products for some reason, it's not always like straightforward, okay? It's not always like sirolimus and tracolimus all the time, okay? Well, they were working with Ganoderma. Michelle was working with Ganoderma. She worked with Ganoderma elegantly for a long time, okay? And then they did an extraction. They identified these compounds. They got a patent on these compounds and everything. And they got money for pharmacokinetics. Actually, Michelle and a company called Puerto Rico. Yeah, Puerto Rico, okay? Puerto Rico, they're working on some species of Ganoderma that are from Puerto Rico, okay? And they got one SBIR grant, believe it or not. So it's very good. You know, those are the things. Yeah, and Tom helped. Yeah, and I bet that they got the matching money that we offer here, okay? So that's a very good success rate. We have some other success rates here in Puerto Rico, some others that they have not gone through the SBIR route. For example, we have MBQ Pharma, which is one of the ones that we have supported here at the Trust, but I like this one. Not because Michelle is my friend, okay, but I know that, you know, all the hurdles and all the ordeals that she passed through, and she made it, and she's getting there. They got licensed, they had a patent, they got a license, okay, believe it or not, it was really good, okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you want to overcome the debt valley, the SBIR y STTR fund, okay, it might be an opportunity to overcome that, okay? And the reason is, you know, the question is how you can do this. Well, why the SBIR route? Well, usually because not a lot of people know about this. First of all, funding is for early stage research, okay? For phase one, you don't need to have preliminary data. I have reviewed purely theoretical grant proposals, okay? And the program officer, they always tell us, you know, remember that for phase one, you don't need preliminary data. You just need a feasibility project in here. And actually, we funded one with no preliminary data at all. It was challenging. Let me tell you the downside about that, okay? If you have preliminary data, you have figures in there, it's gonna help a lot, okay? But according to the regulation, you don't need any preliminary data. So it's only for early stage research. And then you can retain the intellectual property rights. I remember the other day we were doing a SBIR meeting here, and there was somebody complaining about that the university is taking, you know, a whole bunch of my revenues from the patent. Well, in here you can actually stay with your rights in there, and then you gain validation and credibility. You receive SBIR grant, okay, and you have a small business. It's a small business that has been funded through the SBIR route. You gain validation and credibility because this is a peer review process, okay? So usually the small businesses that they get into this, okay, they usually go skyrocket and they get a lot of funding afterwards. They have a phase structure. Phase one is very easy. You want to use it for research. You can tweak it, the process in order to use it for research. Okay, then you have the phase two, which is the phase afterwards. Okay, the good thing is that here at the Trust, we're going to give you matching funds for each of the phases. Actually, we're thinking about increasing the funding at some point. Okay, And then the other thing that is very, very interesting, okay, very, very interesting, is that you have a very broad range of topics, weird topics. Well, let me tell you this. The other day I was in Bio 2023 in Boston, and there was a guy from the National Minority Health Disparities, National Institute for Minority Health Disparities, and they were looking, okay, for people to apply grants for the National Institute of Minority Health Disparities. That's public health. And I think you have one, don't you? Impactivo? Okay, okay. But Impactivo is a public health, almost a public health institute, and they have one, okay? So you have a broad range of topics, okay? So anything that might translate into something, you might find a topic, okay, that it might be fundable through the SBIR or STTR problem, okay? You just need to get a little bit of help, okay, in order to make it happen the way it should, okay? So here's some successful SBIR stories, and the best SBIR story that I have is the case of BioFire. I know the guy, the PI of the BioFire diagnostics, okay? I'm gonna switch a little bit to Spanish, but I'm gonna tell it in English. You go to the clinical lab, okay? Probably up to 5 or probably 10 years ago, okay? The process that it was way behind the other processes that we do in the clinical lab, it was the clinical microbiology one, okay? So, and here's the thing, you get into the hospital. Actually, the other day, something happened that actually really shocked me big time. I remember when the pandemic was happening, there was this epidemiologist, I think that her name was Adriana Pons. Okay, she died, she passed away. Not because of COVID. She passed away because she had an accident, okay? And for some reason, she had an infection, not with a bacteria, but with a fungi in Centro Médico. De un hongo. And you know a little bit about microbiology, you know, bacteria is common, but when you get infected by a fungi, it's filthy, okay? And she died because of that, okay? I'm not saying anything about Centro Médico because we don't know I don't know anything about that case, but we know. You know, it's difficult. The thing is that once you get infected, okay, usually to identify the microorganism that is causing your illness, okay, is a challenge, okay? It was a challenge up to the point, well, it was a challenge before, but now with BioFire, it's a different story. But let me tell you a little bit. Actually, in here, Puerto Rico, during Maria, we had a big problem. Do you know that we had an outbreak from leptospirosis in Puerto Rico? Okay, I mean, the Department of Health never, tells you about it, but they are actually ready prepared now to overcome anything with leptospirosis because of that. And actually, my uncle, Julio, he died of leptospirosis during the Maria time because he was helping other people, and he got it. And then he died at the hospital because by that time, there was not a test in here, okay, capable of detecting leptospirosis at the Ryder Hospital in Humacao. And that's another story. I mean, the Ryder Hospital could be, it's another Centro Médico, but anyway, okay, he died, he passed away. He was helping people and, in the neighborhood, and he got it. The other day here at the Public Health Trust, we have one of our community health workers, okay? She got all this illness and weird symptoms and everything, and the first thing we thought was, oh, she might got leptospirosis because there was a weird increase that we knew about leptospirosis here in Puerto Rico when Fiona passed, and she was working in Loíza. Loíza got all flooded, and she was actually helping. We called a very good infectologist that worked with us, Lemuel Martinez, and he actually treated her, and she got leptospirosis. But now they had the test. Now it's different. Okay, but before they never had the test. So the clinical microbiology part of the laboratory, 10 years ago, okay, it was way behind the other technology that we have in the clinical laboratory, okay? So there's another story, I want to skip this, but the thing is that usually when you start, getting symptoms in the hospital, okay, they will take a sample And then they will do microscopy or hemoculture. And when they put it in the hemoculture thing, okay, it will take probably 18 to 24 hours, okay, to increase the amount of the microorganisms so you can actually take it out from there, put it in Petri dishes, okay? And if something grows, and that happens, sometimes it doesn't grow. If something grows in there, okay, probably 18 to 30 hours after that, okay, then you get it into a machine that is going to identify that, okay, and then you put it in some plates in where you're going to start doing the susceptibility against antibiotics, okay? But you see from the time of taking the sample to getting the identification, how many hours has passed? A lot, isn't it? So how the infectologists are doing? Well, they do it empirically, okay? Based on your symptoms, they tell you, well, probably you have E. coli. So they will give you cetirizine. But if it's staph aureus or something like that, that will have about the same symptoms. Well, once they know here and the identification, they will do the de-escalation. But by, after that, they have destroyed all your microflora because, antibiotics, you get grand quantities of antibiotics. Okay, so we needed something that will actually help us identifying, what was going on earlier. Okay, now we have. Okay, actually in Colombia, remember that the intra-hospital infections, they cost millions and millions of dollars yearly. And in Colombia, there was a legislation that actually made responsible the hospitals for all those hospital-acquired infections. I don't think in Puerto Rico we had that, okay? But in Colombia, that's why they strengthened everything in terms of clinical microbiology, the microbiology, microbial epidemiology, and things like that, okay? Because actually, there was a mandate by the state. There was a kid that died because of that, and it was kind of, sometimes somebody had to die in order to get all this legislation running. Okay, so the role of the clinical microbiology lab is very important, okay? But it was way behind until we got BioFire. And let me tell you the case of BioFire, going to the SBIR. BioFire is a system, okay, that allows you for the rapid automated detection of viral and bacterial pathogens, okay, in a single sample. You don't need to wait to culture the sample. You can actually get a blood sample in there. You can get a swab sample in there for a gastroenterology panel. They have different panels. It's amazing. So I was following this technology. I remember when I was living in Colombia, when I was in charge of the clinical laboratory, I was following this technology because we needed something. It was a mandate from the government, okay? So in the Medical College of Wisconsin, they had this, okay? They were testing this, and actually I met this guy. What is the BioFire? It's a film array pouch, okay? You need to do a test in order to detect in one sample a whole bunch of arrays of different types of things in the same sample, okay? You usually do PCR or you do sequencing depending on what you have, okay? Well, in here, these guys, they manage to do the whole thing, okay, in one pouch, what they call the film array pouch, okay? And this is disposable. Actually costs about $1,000 a thing, but I mean, you could do 24 samples. Now they have some microfluidic things that you could do more samples, okay? But you can get your results in 1 hour. So before, you were getting ID in how many hours? 70 something, something like that? Now you can get it in 1 hour. That changed completely the clinical microbiology lab, along with the mass spectrometry, because that's another thing, okay? Because now the infectious diseases physicians, they need to treat within 1 hour of taking the sample. It's different, okay? It's totally different than treating something that you don't really know what was going on because of you're just following some symptoms and that's it. Okay, so there was a new area in the hospital, a new system that they call antimicrobial stewardship, okay, that now they're implementing, which is a committee, okay, composed of the infectious diseases people, the internal medicine people, the pharmacists, because now, instead of giving you a gram of cetirizine, a gram of any antibiotic, okay, you're getting like a lower amount of antibiotic because we're treating you after 1 hour of taking the sample. Isn't that great? Yes. But in Puerto Rico, we don't have it. In most of the hospitals, we don't have it. We have it in the Department of Health, we have it, but in most of the hospitals, we don't have it. Unfortunately, in Colombia, this is standard. In Colombia, third world country, okay, this is standard. Okay, so the specific aims of this, initially they were developing a panel for meningoencephalitis. Okay, that was the first panel that they developed, and these were the specific aims. They were constructing a film array that will combine PCR assays from 16 panels with 5 new assays to detect the following ME-causing organism directly from cerebrospinal fluid. This is a game changer. You can save a lot of lives. Actually, you can save a lot of kids with this. Actually, the legislation that in Colombia is actually pushing the hospitals to pay for all these tests, okay? It was because there was a kid that died of meningitis, okay? The conditions were crazy. So now, you know, they're putting a panel in where you can actually detect a whole bunch of different things in the same sample. And I don't know, have you been taking a CFS sample anytime? It's not that great, okay? Cerebrospinal fluid is not that great, okay? Well, with this one, you take one sample, a couple of drops, and that's it, okay? Now they have all these panels, and actually the gastrointestinal one actually saved the life of my daughter one time when she got one of these things that, you know, deals with the gastrointestinal thing. Okay, these are the principal investigator, Mark Aaron Ports. I know him. Now he's rich. And you know why? Because BioFire, it was bought by bioMérieux initially, and actually they reported $300 million in 2022 in revenues. It was an idea that actually was born at a company with a partnership with a university, University of Utah. University of Utah. It's not MIT, University of Utah. Okay. Here's another case. Broadly protected university virus-like particle-based influenza vaccine. Okay, this is from Technovax. Okay, this one is doing great. It's already in phase 2. Okay, but initially the proposal, it was outlining the development of a new influenza vaccine using virus-like particles, very similar to the ones that we have for HPV. Okay, very interesting technology. Why? Because the technology that we have for influenza vaccine is still the old-fashioned way. We do it in eggs, okay? So we needed something different, something more, you know, technological, we'll say. Well, let me see. Anyway, so here are the specific aims. Okay, they wrote a really nice proposal. However, it got not funded initially. Why? Look at this. Proposal is overambitious for the 2-year period. This is a phase 1, okay? If the remodeled HA, which is human albumin, does not perform as expected, the rest of the experiment cannot be completed, okay? So basically, they were saying, apparently, this is a grantsmanship problem, okay? They were putting a whole bunch of different things that they were gonna be doing in 2 years, okay? And the reviewers, you know, they didn't believe in the project, that they were gonna be able to do the whole thing, okay? But they changed it, and now Technovax is in phase 2, okay? They secured $1.5 million from NIH to develop the universal virus-like particle vaccines, and they're doing very well. Actually, I like it because this is from Jose Garza, Hispanic, okay? I think Mexican or something like that. I read a little bit about it, so you know, it could be somebody like you, right, from Puerto Rico, isn't it? So, test to be successful. Do your due diligence, okay? Sit down, read all the requirements, write them down, and write them down again, and sit down and write them down again so you don't miss anything, okay? Remember that more is better than enough. Usually you don't want to write down, you know, a lot of things. You don't want to put a lot of things, okay? Don't decide that for the reviewer, okay? Because you don't know what type of reviewer you're going to get. Be prepared to fail on your first time probably, okay? But it's good because you're going to get the credits, and then you know what to do in order to improve it. Submit a robust proposal, okay? And robust proposal, it doesn't mean that it's only about the science that you're going to be putting there, but all the support that you're going to be putting in there. For example, facilities and resources. We have turned down grants because of the facilities and resources, they don't comply with what the proposal is intended to do, okay? Complete all the parts, because the program office is not going to pass the system isn't going to pass a grant that is not complete, especially with the assign. And present a feasible science, be honest on what you're going to do, about the capabilities of the project, and you can put notes on that, and do not give up. Wendy?
Yes, I would add one thing, that is to have a team.
Mm-hmm.
Proposals are not feasible without a team. And sometimes we think we had a great idea, but we do not have a complete team to help us. So I would include that. Have a team and trust your team.
That's true. Thank you, Wendy. And actually, that was my next slide. Okay, here at the Trust, we have a whole team, okay, to help you out. Okay, if you have a problem with your patents, we have a technology transfer office. If you need to do something, sequencing or whatever, we have a research institute here that provide you with that. If you need laboratory space, we have that here. Okay, if you need to put together a business plan, we have a whole entrepreneurship pillar that is going to be able to help you. Actually, we got a grant from EPA just to do that. Okay, and if you have any other questions, obviously we have the SBIR program that is going to actually channel anything on this. Okay, so with that in mind, okay, that's my last slide. Thank you for your attention, and now we can have lunch.